Madam President, for hosting us and for chairing this meeting, and also a particular thanks to the IOM for hosting us here. Former Foreign Minister Vollebæk would have liked to be here this morning, but I'm here in his stead, and even more so listening to the presentations earlier in the morning, I know he would have enjoyed, because they, I think, provided confirmation that the panel is finding its direction and its aim quite clearly. We feel, Madam President, that this panel is undertaking its work at an exceptionally important time. And I say so both in terms of the global processes, the negotiations on the Global Compact for migration and that on refugees in particular, but also the Pan-African processes on economic integration, as were outlined very ably earlier this morning. So the context and the timing is extremely important, and this also means that there are expectations to the panel. Norway, or we in Oslo, are honored to be able to support Mr. Vollebæk as a member of the panel. I also think it's important saying so at the outset that it seems that the different organizations and actors are coming together around the work of the panel, including the Economic Commission, and the presentations we had this morning I found both useful and to the point. One point, if I may, before addressing the four specific questions, and that is the issue of focusing the report of the panel. If I may quote from the proposed outline document, and I quote, "Migration today is both a crowded and a noisy field with numerous stakeholders." This is very much the case. And the immediate sentence following that report of the panel will therefore be forward-looking with concrete suggestions, directly related with concrete recommendations of what should be done to implement policies, programs, and practices. I think this is a key guiding sentence that will need to be kept in mind as you move forward. And I think it also makes sense in our view to condense the panel report to roughly 20 pages, as has been suggested, in order to have the focus and the impact that you desire. Quickly to your questions, what are the panel members' perspectives on African migration? I would like to say there firstly that we very much subscribe, I think, to everything that was said during the four key interventions this morning by Mr. Bill Swing, by yourself, by Ms. Songwe, and the African Union. They basically outlined most or all of the key issues, and there is no need to repeat them in a manner less eloquent than they were made. Our view: one, migration is important for development, economic and social development. It should be out of choice, and we need to focus, in line with the SDGs and the Global Compact negotiations, on safe, orderly, regular, and responsible migration. Secondly, Norway wants to emphasize the benefits of migration for our societies and our peoples, in line with Agenda 2030 and 2063. Agendas that can guide us into migration management that will ensure development. Prior to our coffee break, a few of you touched on the issue of irregular migration, smuggling and trafficking, and also the Valletta Action Plan. The point was made, and it's an important point, that there is a linkage between the benefits of migration and regular migration on the one hand, and combating large-scale irregular migration on the others. These, by necessity, go hand in hand. And I think the Valletta Joint Action Plan, which was mentioned by the Honourable Minister a moment ago, and which we should not go into detail on in this session or in this panel, is important because it sets out a broad, comprehensive African-European agenda on migration. And this encompasses the roots and origins of migration, the benefits of legal migration, but also the combating of irregular migration and trafficking, return and reintegration, of course, and protection and humanitarian support. So just to say that good governance, as was also mentioned, and the benefits of migration by necessity go hand in hand. What should be done to address these issues? I would like to mention two things that Norway has been doing and will continue to do. Secondly, we have been supporting financially the negotiation process leading up to the newly established protocol on free movement of persons. And we welcome the adoption and the moving forward of that. Secondly, African nations and people need to be equipped with official identity papers as reflected in SDG 16.9. We have supported work on civil registration and vital statistics to facilitate birth registration so that this is obtainable for as many citizens as possible. This is important both for governments to have an overview of its population and for internal and external migration. So CRVS is a very important data source and an important element in this whole effort. My last point, how do we see the HLPM influencing the program on the continent? I would agree with others, including Abbas, who just spoke, that advocacy and championing with the 54 countries of the recommendation of the high-level panel report is a key issue. This is, of course, important with the Pan-African institutions, with the regional institutions that are important in the implementation of the economic and migration policy efforts, and with the individual national states. Thank you.